Live from our studios in Regina, this is CTV News.
As we prepared the 26-27 budget, we had a choice: raise taxes, cut services, or protect Saskatchewan. We chose to protect Saskatchewan.
Or in other words, choosing to run a large deficit. Today, Finance Minister Jim Ryder and the Sask Party government announcing the 26-27 budget will result in an $819 million deficit, one of the highest in Saskatchewan's budget history. Good evening. It's becoming a trend all across Canada. Provincial governments announcing massive deficit budgets. Saskatchewan is no exception, although the deficit doesn't run as deep as compared to others in Canada. But will residents get enough bang for their buck? With an overview of today's budget, we go live to Wayne Mantika, who is down at the Legislative grounds tonight. Wayne?
Well, some people might consider today's budget to be largely maintaining the status quo. There were no new major initiatives that would attract attention, like a reduction in the gas tax at the pumps. However, the government is following through on a recent promise to improve health care. Never in recent years has the government prepared a budget amid such uncertainty.
Today's budget is being presented at a time of significant global economic and geopolitical turmoil, where tariffs and other world events like the conflict in the Middle East have had an impact on our economy and provincial finances.
Important choices had to be made.
As we prepared the 26-27 budget, we had a choice: raise taxes, cut services, or protect Saskatchewan. We chose to protect Saskatchewan. It came at a price. Revenue is projected at $21.46 billion, exceeded by expenditures of $22.23 billion, leaving a deficit of $819 million. We listened to Saskatchewan people, and the top two concerns we have heard are affordability and access to health care. This budget addresses both. Key to that is the province's Patient First plan.
And that's why we've committed that everyone is going to be connected in some way to a primary health care provider. Maybe not necessarily a doctor, be it a nurse practitioner or some other primary health care provider. You've seen the expansion of nurse practitioner initiatives in hiring, in training.
There is also a significant $4.3 billion capital construction plan.
It's a significant capital plan. I think, if I'm not mistaken, it's the third or fourth highest capital plan that this government has ever had in our history. That's building our schools, that's building our hospitals, that's building our highways.
The government could be helped by higher oil revenue. The budget projects a price of just under $60 a barrel. It's currently closer to $100. Still, the NDP question the government's forecasting ability.
I think it's probably a good time to remind people that last year this government promised a $12 million surplus that has turned into a $1.2 billion deficit.
Current high oil prices are resulting in unexpected windfall revenues to the province, but it's not expected to last. The government anticipates that oil prices will return to normal during the course of the upcoming year, although if it doesn't, then the budget could be revised as the year goes along. Lee?
All right, thanks, Wayne. That's Wayne Mantika reporting live from the Legislative building. So here's how Saskatchewan deficit compares to the two western provinces beside us that have released their provincial budgets already, starting with Alberta, where a $9.4 billion deficit kicks off 3 years of projected deficit spending. That is $1,847 in deficit per capita this budget year. That's based on population. That is compared to what Saskatchewan would be, $641 per capita. That's almost triple the amount Alberta has. In British Columbia, $13.3 billion in deficit spending, amounting to $2,346 deficit per capita. That's almost quadruple what we see here in Saskatchewan. Manitoba, by the way, is set to table its provincial budget next week. Now, Saskatchewan's population, industries, and more contributing their money to the budget for a total of $10.69 billion in forecasted taxation revenue. That's up $243.7 million from last year's real budget number. The largest largest income source, the provincial sales tax, expected to bring in approximately $3.5 billion in revenue this budget year. That's up 6.5% from last year's budget. In a close second, personal income tax, with approximately $3.4 billion in projected revenue. That's expected to be up 1.5% from last year's budget, despite there being no increases to the tax. Now, when it comes to the budget, there's a word the Sask Party government says this budget focuses on, and that would be protect. You heard it a lot. Protecting health care, protecting our economy, protecting Saskatchewan. But how much will it protect the government from criticism, not just from the opposition, but from taxpayers? With more, the Premier of Saskatchewan, Scott Moe, joins us live tonight from the Legislative Building. Mr. Moe, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Lee.
Simple question off the top. Does this budget do enough in your mind to protect the way of life for people in Saskatchewan?
Well, that's the goal, is for us to protect the fact that we are the most affordable province in the nation, but we are facing inflationary challenges like other Canadians are as well. It's protecting not only the healthcare system that we have, but the trajectory through our Patients First plan to improve outcomes in our healthcare system as well. And it's protecting the very safety in our communities in the investments that we're making in law enforcement, recovery, as well as other housing initiatives that we have. So it is a budget that is about protecting the very economy that's providing us with the ability to make those investments and protecting the way of life that we have come to expect in Saskatchewan and that we want to preserve for those next generations.
Healthcare was one of the big two focuses for your government in this budget. We've heard a lot about the addition of more nurse practitioners to get in there. We know it can't be fixed in 1 year, but does this budget do enough to get more health workers on the front lines to see more Saskatchewan residents?
Well, enough is a hard aspiration to hit. It needs to continue to improve the outcomes that families are experiencing when they are entering our healthcare system or requiring care from our healthcare system. There's virtual care, scope expansion. There's the opening of additional urgent care centers, additional training seats, whether it be the College of Medicine or nurse practitioner seats, bridging opportunities for RNs, and many more initiatives, 50 action items to improve the outcomes so that every Saskatchewan resident can be confident that they will receive the right care in the right time at the right place. That's the goal. Those are the targets, and those are the action items that are there, and they're funded in this budget today. And those were tough decisions. As you know, we ran a deficit, smaller by comparison to other provinces, but tough decisions nonetheless to ensure that we're making the investments so that that trajectory towards a more positive outcome in our healthcare system in Saskatchewan, at least, can be achieved.
Lots more to ask, but unfortunately we have ran out of time, so we'll leave it there. Mr. Premier, thanks for joining us tonight.
Thank you, Lee.
Now, this budget comes as cost of living does continue to soar. It's most noticeable right now at the pumps and at the grocery store. So will residents get any relief in this budget? Donovan Mace breaks it down for us.
No new taxes are coming to Saskatchewan in 2026.
Our government is keeping every one of the affordability commitments we made.
This budget comes as Saskatchewan struggles with rising costs. Prices at the pump and the till continue to increase, and the NDP believes tangible measures like suspending the provincial fuel tax is low-hanging fruit left on the vine.
It would offer some relief and a signal to people that maybe, just maybe, this government understood.
While taxes are staying the same, several fees are increasing, including power rates, auto insurance, and licensing fees, even the cost to get a fishing license. Critics say there is too much spending and not enough support for affordability.
We've seen a government that talks a lot about making life more affordable for Saskatchewanians, and they've done that in the past, but they failed to adequately do that in this budget while increasing the debt and increasing costs.
And still, residents are looking for relief.
You have to kind of live within means, and I can't get groceries because my bills are too high and they're still rising.
More people are not being able to maintain their base water, energy, power, and it's very difficult to gain and maintain housing if you don't have those base utilities.
Ryder pointing towards a series of tax incentives for that relief, increasing its available tax credits by $42 million over last year.
These tax cuts, combined with indexation, are providing about $200 million in tax savings this year.
The government adds it remains on schedule to meet its campaign promise of cutting income taxes within 4 years. Donovan May, CTV News, Regina.
To other news now, we'll get back to the budget a little later on. The judge in a trial of a Regina man accused of murder continued delivering instructions today to the 12-member jury who have now begun deliberations. Mick Fable has the latest from court.
After 2 weeks of testimony, the judge has charged a jury in the double murder trial of Dylan Whitehawk. Whitehawk is facing 2 counts of first-degree murder in the 2019 shooting deaths of Jordan Denton and Keenan Toto. Judge Michael Tucker gave final instructions to the jury before letting them go to begin deliberations. During the 13-day trial, more than 25 witnesses have taken the stand. 4 witnesses who cannot be named due to a publication ban place Whitehawk at the scene of the crimes and the one who fired the shots which killed Denton and Toto. A number of investigators also testified, helping piece together what happened. At the time of the crimes, Whitehawk was a member of the Indian Mafia street gang. Witnesses say the shootings were in relation to a gang war happening in Regina that year. During testimony, it was determined Denton and Toto were not known to the IM members in the vehicles during both drive-by shootings. In Canada, a first-degree murder conviction carries an automatic life sentence with no chance of parole for at least 25 years. Mick Fable, CTV News, Regina.
All right, Sabine joins us now for our first look at weather. And I got to be honest, Sabine, I had the sub pump out. A lot of water on my property because that's how warm it was today.
Yeah. So I guess you take the good, you take the bad?
This isn't the facts of life.
Okay. Well, there may be more of that, Lee. I hate to be the bearer of bad news because tomorrow we're only going to continue to see these temperatures climb. Now, there is I don't want to say relief, but we will see those temperatures drop back down, a little cooling off happening heading into the weekend. But if we take a look at what we got to for the Regina area today, warmed up to 11 degrees. The average usually about +1, so very warm temperatures. And even as we head into our overnight lows, we will see those temperatures much warmer than that average -10 that we're used to seeing for this time of year. The good news is we don't really have much precipitation coming through parts of southern Saskatchewan. Well, I guess that's either good or bad, depending on what you're needing for probably some of our friends in the rural areas that would like to see more of that moisture. There is rain on the way for many parts of the province, but for southern Saskatchewan, trace amounts. Taking a look at our current temperatures, we're still looking at above seasonal, and that'll continue. I have details in your full forecast. Lee?
All right, thank you, Sabine. Back to our coverage of the budget. Most of Saskatchewan's budget is going to health care as the province tries to improve access and cut wait times by hiring more staff. But some say the focus should be on incentivizing the current workforce we have. Laura Woodward has more.
Health is the largest expenditure in the province's budget, with record funding of $8.5 billion.
That's a nearly 5% increase from last year. Over $600 million will go towards building and upgrading facilities across the province. The budget includes $2 million for hospital safety teams in Regina, Saskatoon, and Prince Albert amid rising concerns of violence, and $2.3 million to create a multiple sclerosis clinic in Regina. It also includes $673 million to address mental health and addictions, an increase of about 8%. Much of the spending supports the government's Patients First plan.
We've committed that everyone is going to be connected in some way to a primary health care provider. Maybe not necessarily a doctor, be it a nurse practitioner or some other primary health care provider.
When it comes to training, the province is adding 20 new doctor seats and 26 for nurse practitioners, along with a new program to help registered nurses advance into practitioner roles.
Today on the SHA website, we have over 100 unfilled nurse practitioner positions. So of course this government cannot recruit and retain healthcare workers, and they'll continue to not be able to do that.
The union representing Saskatchewan healthcare workers says the problem isn't training, it's retention.
I feel like the budget is a missed opportunity and quite frankly very disappointing, because it did not talk about the root cause of the problem we have today in healthcare. That is the chronic short staffing.
Meanwhile, the government says its Patients First plan will be one of the biggest transformations to Saskatchewan healthcare. Laura Woodward, CTV News, Saskatoon.
Well, coming off last year's budget where a surplus turned into a massive deficit, the Saskatchewan NDP say they are not putting a lot of trust in the numbers. But what about the actual budget items? What do they think about them? To answer that question, Leader of the Opposition, Carla Beck, joins us live from the Legislative Building tonight. Thanks for joining us.
Good to have you, Lee. Good to be here.
So the province says this budget focused on affordability and health care. That were the two major focuses, protecting Saskatchewan from a volatile world. But does it do that in your mind?
Yeah, I think for those who were looking for some relief to the cost of living, the ability to pay ever-increasing fees and taxes, some relief on that front, Lee, this budget really does miss the mark. In fact, this is not as advertised. It's actually going to increase costs for many people in this province, which is a huge concern given that we already face people in this province the highest levels of financial anxiety in the country. We've got 4 in 10 people right now who are going into debt just to pay for groceries. For those who are looking for relief in this budget, it simply is not there. Instead, what they've got is increased costs for fishing, for hunting, for insurance, as well as those increased power costs. I think that's incredibly disappointing for people who are struggling right now.
What is your feeling on the fact of the amount of deficit that they're running to what they say is keep the services but not add any taxes? How tough is it to balance that line, considering we want to see services but we don't want to see mass deficit as well?
Well, apparently, frankly, for this government, it's very difficult to balance. We see this government running up debt in the good years. We see them running up debt in more difficult years. And we see them failing to deliver on the services that people need in this province. We have a huge crisis in our healthcare system. We have huge issues when it comes to making sure that our kids have the supports they need in the education system. Yet we have a government that wastes money on projects and has let the debt increase to the point now that we are paying on that debt servicing cost alone $1.22 billion. That's 3 times more than what we're spending on frontline police that are needed, unfortunately, in many communities to deal with the rising crime facing many communities. Again, this is it misses the mark, even in terms of what we see today. And unfortunately, we've come to not trust this government when it comes to fair reporting of the numbers. I think there's more to come, unfortunately.
All right. Well, we've run out of time. Carla Beck, leader of the Saskatchewan NDP, thank you for joining us tonight.
Thanks, Lee.
Well, what about when it comes to education? We'll have more on that with Keenan Sorokon.
I think it's pretty terrible, honestly.
A modest increase to the education sector isn't getting a passing grade from Saskatchewan educators.
It leaves students completely out. There is nothing in there that is going to protect their classrooms or support them going into the future.
27 school divisions will share an additional $62 million of funding, which represents a 2.6% increase. And while these school divisions appreciate every dollar, this money isn't inspiring additional programming or initiatives. Sean Davidson says most schools in Saskatchewan are older than he is, and they need a lot of maintenance to keep the doors open.
This budget doesn't see any further investment in that area, and we were really looking for at least some enhancement in that preventative maintenance and renewal funding, and we didn't get any of that today. So that's probably the most disappointing part.
Given the pressures on this budget, the province says the overall 2% increase this year represents much larger increases seen over the last 2 years, and the need for funding to be sustainable long term.
With previous increases over the past 2 years in previous budgets of 8.8% and 8.4%, we're looking at about a 20%, approximate 20% increase to school operating in the past 3 years.
The province is moving ahead with 3 projects, all outside major cities. The Martensville-Warman area will get a joint-use middle and high school. Shellbrook will consolidate its elementary and high schools, and a major renovation is planned in Esterhazy. But the opposition feels this budget is ignoring larger concerns.
We've got hundreds of schools in this province that are falling apart, and many more that are bursting at the seams.
Private independent schools in Saskatchewan will not be getting an increase in funding. The $23 million is the same as last year's budget based on lower than expected enrollment. Keenan Sorokon, CTV News, Saskatoon.
And if you want more budget news, you can log on to our website, ctvnewsregina.ca. Other news, a few weeks before a preliminary inquiry was set to begin involving the self-proclaimed Queen of Canada, Romana Didulo, the Crown has decided to rest its charges. Sierra D'Souza Butts tells us more on the Crown's decision.
The Crown will no longer be pursuing its case against the self-proclaimed Queen of Canada, Romana Didulo, as the charges against her have been stayed. Didulo was set to make an appearance at Swift Current Provincial Court on Wednesday morning. Following her September arrest in Richmond, the leader of the so-called Kingdom of Canada was charged with 1 count of failure to comply with undertaking conditions and 1 count of intimidation of a justice system participant. After making her first court appearance, she was granted bail with more than a dozen conditions, including no direct or indirect contact with Ricky Mans, the owner of the decommissioned school in Richmond, which Didulo's Kingdom of Canada group had been occupying since 2023. A change in Crown prosecutors on the case was made earlier this year. As a result, Didulo's preliminary hearing was delayed from March 2nd to April 13th. However, due to the charges being put to rest by the Crown, the hearing will no longer take place. CTV News attempted to contact Didulo for comment. However, she did address her followers online for the first time since her arrest.
To join Your Royal Majesty Queen Romana Didulo I.
While waiting for court proceedings, Didulo was barred from communicating through the group's Kingdom of Canada website. She had been residing in Regina for the past 6 months as part of her bail conditions. Sierra D'Souza Butts, CTV News, Regina.
Still ahead, U.S. lawmakers question intelligence officials on a justification of the war with Iran. And a look at the other battleground of the Iran war, Beirut, Lebanon. The U.S. president's top intelligence officials testified publicly today for the first time since the U.S. and Israel launched missile strikes in Iran. Lawmakers demanded to know what was the evidence for the justification for the war. Joy Malbin has more from Washington.
Arriving in Dover for a dignified transfer, President Donald Trump honoring 6 service members killed in a refueling air crash as the U.S. military took new action in Iran, dropping multiple 5,000-pound bunker buster bombs targeting Iranian ammunition storage sites. As global oil prices skyrocket, Trump is determined to get the oil flowing through the Strait of Hormuz, with or without support from U.S. allies.
We don't need too much help, and we don't need any help, actually.
The president's top intelligence officials grilled on Capitol Hill over what evidence justified attacking Iran now.
Did you brief the president if he starts a war of choice that the likely result would be that Iran would strike adjacent Gulf nations and close the Strait of Hormuz?
I have not and won't divulge internal conversations.
Democrats are clearly frustrated. Asked if the president's strikes on Iran's nuclear sites in June obliterated the nuclear program, why go to war now?
Was it the assessment of the intelligence community that there was a, quote, imminent nuclear threat posed by the Iranian regime, yes or no?
Senator, the only person who can determine what is and is not an imminent threat is the president.
False. This is the worldwide. This is
Trump's intelligence director says it's not her job to determine what is an imminent threat to the homeland, as her chief of staff, Joe Kent, just resigned in protest, suggesting President Trump was duped into war, blaming Israel.
And with Marines on the way to the Middle East, President Trump has yet to make a decision on sending U.S. forces into Iran to seize the country's remaining nuclear material. Joy Malbin, CTV News, Washington.
Well, since the start of the war, Lebanon's capital, Beirut, has been pounded by Israeli attacks targeting Iran's ally, Hezbollah. Today, Israeli forces leveled a 10-story apartment building in the city center after issuing an evacuation notice. Rachel Aiello has the latest.
A multi-story apartment in central Beirut decimated. The Israeli military claimed the building was being used by the Iran-backed Hezbollah militant group. Targeting 4 buildings in 8 hours, Israel stepped up airstrikes in Lebanon on Wednesday. Lebanese officials say at least 10 people were killed. It's just pain. They don't have targets anymore, this man says. Strikes also damaged bridges and a gas station in southern Lebanon. Since March 2nd, according to Lebanon's health ministry, more than 900 people have been killed, thousands injured, and another 1 million displaced.
Children and families who have fled their homes with barely nothing, who are sleeping on the street for a couple of days until they figure out where to go.
Canadian Ahmed Araji has been in Lebanon assisting with humanitarian efforts. Last week, he told CTV News he wanted to stay, but he's now changed his mind after having to flee his hotel due to nearby explosions.
But I never imagined in my life that I would have to flee an area, escape an area because my life was in danger. So going through that made me realize that maybe I need to pack my bags and go back home.
This week, Canada joined European allies expressing grave concerns about the escalating violence.
The humanitarian situation is worsening.
While condemning Hezbollah, world leaders are calling for a political solution.
Here's a chance, I think, for Canada to really show its diplomatic leverage.
The federal government has recently promised $37 million in humanitarian aid for civilians in Lebanon. Rachel Aiello, CTV News, Ottawa.
Coming up, it takes strength to be a firefighter, but one man from Saskatchewan has the title to prove it, named the world's strongest firefighter.
Budget day in Saskatchewan. Thursday on Your Morning, we are sitting down with the Premier and the Leader of the Opposition to discuss what's inside that document.
Welcome back. We're going to get right into your forecast for what to expect over the next couple of days and into your weekend. A beautiful day in the Queen City. Warmed up to about 11 degrees. Currently starting to see the temperatures cool down at 7 degrees right now. Winds just over 10 kilometers an hour. Oh, we've got some freezing rain warnings. Okay, this was expected because we do have this system that's coming through Saskatchewan. We're going to continue to see mixed precipitation for the next few days. Most of it has been rain, and then there is a mix of freezing rain and snow coming through. Alberta has seen quite a bit of these freezing rain warnings as well, and now we're starting to see them pop up as the system is making its way through. So what's to come? We're going to continue to see that system cutting through parts of Saskatchewan, mostly central and northern Saskatchewan. We do have more snow expected and continuing to see rain and freezing rain coming through northern Saskatchewan, in particular around the Prince Albert area. Lloydminster may see some rain, but further north we'll see more of that snow. They could probably see anywhere between 10 to 15 centimeters of snow in northern Saskatchewan. Further down into central and southern Saskatchewan, we could continue to see some precipitation as well, mostly in the form of rain and freezing rain. Sorry, friends in Maple Creek, I was blocking that corner. But for southern Saskatchewan, for the most part, we're going to continue to see mainly sunny conditions until we get into Friday. There is a slight chance we will see some scattered showers and precipitation. Even as we get into Friday evening, you can see that rain expected in the southeast, into the Parkland, even Regina expecting to see some scattered rain. In terms of accumulation, there's not a lot for rainfall totals right now, but I will show you what we can expect for a total of precipitation. Now, these maps measure, of course, the snow-rain mix that we can expect to see coming through. So between now into Saturday at noon, this is what we're looking at. Trace amounts for southern Saskatchewan, up to 9 millimeters in Saskatoon, 7 for Yorkton, and then further up north, like La Ronge, could see up to about 10 millimeters of the rain-snow mix there as well. So not a whole lot of precipitation expected over the rest of this week. Into the weekend, we could see a little bit more changing. The temperatures also expected to get a little cooler for the weekend. But into tomorrow, 7 degrees cloud cover for Lloydminster, 6 and mixed precipitation for Prince Albert, 8 degrees cloudy for Saskatoon, 9 and cloudy for North Battleford. Yorkton, expecting a daytime high of 6 degrees, dropping below 0 tonight. Cloudy tomorrow, clouds continuing. 20 degrees expected for Maple Creek tomorrow. 18 and a mix of sun and cloud for Swift Current. Moose Jaw, 19 and a mix of sun and cloud. And even the overnight lows, again, I mentioned earlier, average around about -10 to about -2. So we're going to see some very warm overnight lows. But tomorrow, again, for southern Saskatchewan in particular, we're nearing the 20-degree mark. 19 for Assiniboia, 18 for Estevan and Weyburn. Regina, not quite to the 20-degree mark, but 16, mainly sunny. And I do want to point out, we could see those winds picking up, gusting up to about 55 kilometers an hour. And even tonight, we're still staying above 0 for our low with the winds up to 25 kilometers an hour. But here's a look at what we have coming up for the next 7 days. So very warm heading into tomorrow, 16, mainly sunny. First official day of spring, as spring does arrive at 8:46 a.m. on Friday. 9 degrees, still warmer than seasonal. And you will notice we're still within seasonal range by Saturday. Cloudy 1 degree, 3 and mainly sunny on Sunday. And then we're still going to see temperatures warmer than average. So Monday, mainly sunny, 6 degrees, winds getting up there, up to 55 kilometers an hour. But it's Wednesday's wind speeds I want to talk about. However, between now and then, things could change. But for now, we're looking at winds gusting up to 70 kilometers an hour. Possible we could see wind warnings, but that's a little down the road. So we don't have to worry about that so much as what we were talking about for tonight into tomorrow.
So one more day of double-digit temperatures.
Yeah, and possibly a lot more melting if there's any snow left out there. Heads up to you.
Gonna have to deal with it. Thanks, Sabine.
Yeah.
Well, from having to carry heavy water hoses, injured people, all while climbing a flight of stairs, firefighters have to be strong both physically and mentally. So, who's the strongest? Apparently, it's a man originally from Saskatchewan. Jasmine Pelche has more on the recently crowned world's strongest firefighter.
Evan Jaworski just became the first Canadian to win the title of world's strongest firefighter.
You spend so much time preparing for, maybe 5 minutes of work over competition time. And when it pays off at the end of the day, it's pretty satisfying.
This year, the competition for active duty firefighters was held March 6th and 7th at the Arnold Sports Festival in Columbus, Ohio, and included more than 100 competitors. The Saskatoon-born Jaworski advanced to the finals after placing first in the lightweight class and completed a total of 9 events over the 2-day competition.
And it's not always just for big guys, right? Like, there's weight classes for a reason. There's a ton of weight class athletes in Canada. And like I'm the first lightweight to win the world's strongest firefighter title.
One of the events in the finals required Jaworski to pull a fire truck 50 feet.
The way I think about strongmen is like you just be generally strong, and then you can learn the skills for specific events when you need to.
He decided to start competing in strongman events after a friend suggested it.
I was kind of in a lull between sports at one point, and a friend at the gym told me I'd probably be good at it, so I just signed up on a whim, and I just kept doing well, so I just kept having opportunities, and now I'm here.
Jaworski plans to compete at the 2026 Strongman Games World Championship and will be back in action for next year's World's Strongest Firefighter competition. Jasmine Pelche, CTV News, Prince Albert.
Still ahead, the Estevan Bruins look to become the next 8th seed to pull off an upset in the SJHL playoffs. The Regina Pats are heading into the final weekend of the WHL regular season, still looking to clinch a playoff spot.
Fires, it's blocked, rebound cleared up to center, and Ben Harvey's on a breakaway. Here comes the WHL Rookie of the Week.
Prince Albert Raiders scored 3 goals in the second, 4 more in the third, en route to a 8-4 victory over the Pats. Ben Harvey led the way with a pair of goals for Prince Albert. Sitting in 7th in the East, the Pats remain 3 points up on Red Deer, who play tonight in Lethbridge. They're 4 points up on Moose Jaw. The Raiders lead Medicine Hat by 2 points in the race for first in the East. An 8th seed beating a top seed is no longer a rare feat these days. Remember 2012? The LA Kings went all the way to win a Stanley Cup as an 8th seed. Well, that's the mindset for the Estevan Bruins as they head into their SJHL quarterfinal series against Flin Flon.
Yeah, our group's pretty confident group. I mean, they don't shy away from anything kind of from day one to now. So, we're probably going to go in there with the underdog mentality. We're hoping that we feel the pressure's all on them. So for us, we want to play free, but we want to play smart and kind of obviously get that first goal or two and kind of see what happens from there.
Now, to pull off the upset, the Bruins are going to have to win at least 1 game in Flin Flon, and that's a tough task considering the Bombers lost only once all season at the Whitney Forum. To prepare, the Bruins have been practicing at a local rink with smaller dimensions similar to what you see in Flin Flon.
You know what, for us, we have to kind of make sure that we're ready to go from that first puck drop, because it's going to be intense the whole time. And, we're fortunate enough to have a secondary rink that we have in Estevan here that's about the same size as it. And so today we had all the loud noises going, air horns kind of thing. So we're making sure that we're prepared for, obviously, with when we're practicing your power play PK, just obviously you don't have all that time and space. So we're, trying to utilize every little advantage that we have to kind of take up there.
Game 1 is Friday night in Flin Flon. It goes 6:30 Saskatchewan time. Still ahead, pitching careers in agriculture to the next generation.
I like everything that we do on the farm.
Welcome back. We're going to take a look at your rural forecast heading into tomorrow. And as we've already seen on the map, we're going to see that precipitation making its way through parts of the province. And we're going to actually see exactly where we can expect to see that, along with that cloud cover. Some mixed precipitation for Meadow Lake at 7 degrees, cloudy and 7 for Lloydminster. Hudson Bay also expecting to see some rain and snow mix there. 5 is the expected high. Warmer in Outlook, 15, a mix of sun and cloud. Kindersley, a mix of sun and cloud, and 14 degrees. The closer we get to the southern border, the warmer those temperatures get. 21 degrees for Coronach, 20 for Rockland and Maple Creek, 18 expected for Assiniboia, East and Cypress and Leader, and a little cooler up in Kenora, 4 degrees for the daytime high, still warmer than average. Cloudy conditions there. Fog is expected for Carlisle, 13 degrees there, and Lumsden and Pilot Butte, mainly sunny, 16 degrees. If we take a closer look at Norquay, where internet speeds up to 1 gig available through SaskTel tomorrow, expecting a mix of sun and cloud. 5 degrees is the expected high, but with the wind chill, we'll feel closer to about +2.
Regina residents are expressing their frustration about the city's current animal bylaw, saying that it does not support the safe keeping of animals. At today's executive committee meeting, several delegates asked for the Regina animal bylaw to undergo further review, requesting amendments be made to include responsible pet ownership provisions, which delegates say would strengthen prevention, public safety, and animal welfare in the community. Councillors say administration will make amendments to the bylaw and bring it back for review later this year. Canada's Farm Show continued today at the Real District, and the show welcomes students looking to take on careers in agriculture. More than 200 students from grades 5 to 8 toured the grounds today as part of the Think Ag Career Expo. And we spoke to 2 students who actually work on a farm south of Momart.
We combine, seed, my dad holds grain. I just like farming. I like combining and I like everything that we do on the farm. My role is we have chickens, and so every day I collect eggs. If I need to, I feed the chickens with layer, and if I need to, I feed the chickens with water.
Now, tomorrow is the last day of the farm show, showcasing farm equipment, crop inputs, ag tech, and services made to help producers get ready for the growing season. Hey, speaking of growing season, let's look at some farm market boards. Canola street price down $7.10 to $655.23 per ton, with a futures price down $3 to $726.20 per ton. Amber durum wheat, no movement, $278.59 per ton. Red spring wheat, it's up 58 cents to $276.83 per ton. Feed barley, no movement, $232.01 per ton, while flax is $670.54 per ton. Those prices courtesy of Bunkie. As for the market boards, both on the way down today. The TSX dropped by 616 points, the Dow Jones by 768 points. The Canadian dollar, it dropped as well, between 1/10 and 2/10 of a cent to 72.86 cents US. Commodity front, gold down $187.11, a decent drop there. West Texas Intermediate crude up $2.23, putting it over the $98 a barrel mark. And Western Canadian Select crude went up 60 cents to $77.85 a barrel. So gas right now in Regina, no change, $1.62.9 cents per liter.
Iran struck a major natural gas facility today in Qatar, which spiked the price of oil again. The state-owned refinery took a hit and extensive damage is reported. This deepens the Middle East crisis, which most had hoped would end with a reopening of the Strait of Hormuz. But if major outputs are crippled, recovery will take longer. The U.S. Federal Reserve Chair says it is too soon to know what the full effect of the conflict in Iran could be on the economy. It held its lending rate today between 3.5 and 3.75%. The central bank still forecasts one rate cut for 2026 and one for 2027. The rising cost of fuel could be positive for Couche-Tard. The Quebec-based company reported its net earnings were up 18% in its latest quarter, helped by acquisitions. Couche-Tard owns more than 17,000 convenience stores in 30 countries around the world, but most of its revenue comes from its gas station. Those are your business headlines. I'm Marilla Fernandez.
Coming up tonight after the newscast, The Masked Singer at 7 o'clock, followed by Fear Factor, House of Fear. Shark Tank at 9, Scrubs, The Revival at 10, and then E-Talk and national news, local news at 11:30. Now, spring break just around the corner, and with many people traveling, we thought we'd kind of show you where your luggage goes after you check in.
So employees at Gatwick Airport in London, England put a camera on a suitcase to show you its journey from the counter to the plane. It goes on quite a long trip of its own, a whole series of conveyor belts before it even leaves the building to go onto a bus that has to traverse the runways and eventually reaches your airplane hold.
Hopefully.
It looks like they've been quite gentle with the suitcases.
Yes, and sometimes you want to make sure that they are gentle with the suitcases. So, hey. There you go. Now you know exactly how it goes when it comes to a suitcase.
Oh.
Hello.
Yes.
Say, please. There's a warrant out for your arrest. Hey, get you. Hey.
We work together.
We did.
Yeah.
Anyways.
No, wait. What's the warrant? Am I allowed?
Please. You're under arrest for fraud.
God, I don't like
of
this.
the 7-day forecast.
You did
under
this.
the Jail and Bail Act.
That is not real. No one takes the 7th day on the 7-day
we knew this
forecast
day
as
was
real.
coming, to be honest.
I thought it was going to be real.
Okay, but
it's not an if, it was a when.
we worked together, and I was your best employee.
You were
right?
pretty loud, but yes, we were.
Okay, but actually, I can confirm that this is not a real arrest, right?
Yeah, right. We'll switch you, talk to your lawyer, and then we'll go from there.
I don't have a lawyer.
The judge will decides what happens.
But this is actually just a jail and bail thing. Lee, you tell them. Can you bail me out? Hello?
And before we knew this was going to happen, one day, today was the day.
Look at that.
We can't mess up the weather forecast.
This is not real.
Never mess up the weather
Not
forecast.
my most favorite moment. Of course.
Just going to go this way, ma'am. Just come this way, ma'am, right here.
Now, of course, this is actually for jail and bail for Regina Crime Stoppers. It's happening tomorrow from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. where you donate to get and bail them out of jail. And if you're interested in bailing Sabine out of jail, you can go to the Crime Stoppers website and make your donation to get her out of jail. Or don't. Then she just doesn't come back. That's on you. But there she is in the cop car. It's not the white Bronco, but it is the Regina police taking away Sabine. It's a tough way to end the day for her. Tough, tough way. Once again, donate, jail and bail, Regina Crime Stoppers. That's all the time we have for tonight, because I can't make any jokes to anyone because she got arrested. Budget information, everything from health care to education, will be on our website, ctvnewsregina.ca. And so will this newscast, so you can watch Sabine get arrested over and over again. I know I will.